So good morning, everybody. And I must say, I really regret that I'm not being able to stay the whole day with you. I think it's a very nice program you have there and a very good topic you choose, I think. So it's really an honor for me to be here with you at the HELT Symposium. We gather here not only to discuss health, law, and technology, but also to confront the truth that grows clearer each year. Siloed thinking has no place in the challenges we face. We are talking about pandemics, about pollution, or planetary boundaries. They all require one thing: integration. Our discussion today takes place against the backdrop of converging crises. We have the climate emergency, collapsing biodiversity, growing political instability, and the lingering lessons of the global pandemic. At the heart of these intertwined challenges lies a powerful idea: One Health. Let me begin with a simple conviction. One Health is no longer just a scientific concept. It is a governance imperative. It is the only approach that makes sense in a world where health of people, animals, and the planet is fundamentally interdependent. And yet, despite the rhetoric and the recognition, our structures, our policies, and let's be honest, our politics have not yet caught up. So I'm here today to make a political case out for One Health, and also a practical case, and also a moral case. If we look around, we don't have to search for examples. There is PFAS in our water, deforestation fueling zoonotic spillovers, climate change amplifying disease vectors, AMR turning minor infections into deadly threats. These are not isolated problems. They are not happening in silos. So why do we continue to design our policies as if they were? One Health allows us to see the full picture, not just pathogen or the pollution, but the whole system. It forces us to ask, where are the connections and how can we govern better? And make no mistake, this is not just an EU issue, it's global, it's a world issue. Whether it's heat waves in Southern Europe or dengue outbreaks in Bangladesh, the underlying drivers, land use, intensive farming, unregulated chemicals, weak surveillance are everywhere. So if we are serious about delivering on the promises of the EU Green Deal, on our obligation under the European Health Union, on our international commitments for global health, we need to mainstream One Health into everything we do, not occasionally, not in a footnote, but really structurally. Let's be honest about where we stand in Europe. We have come a long way. The legislation branded as the European Health Union was a step forward. New mandates of the European Medicine Agency and the European Centre for Disease Prevention and Control, serious cross-border threats to health regulation, and HERA. We also have a more ambitious mission letter for the Health Commissioner, which includes One Health, not just in the context of AMR, but more broadly. We have outstanding technical work being done by EU agencies, ECDC, EFSA, EMA, ECHA, EEA, many of them already collaborating in cross-sectoral ways. But we are still missing something essential: coordination, vision, and political coherence. Today, the European Commission's own impact assessment still focuses on sector-specific implications: environment here, economic there, with public health often an afterthought. Let me give you one example. In the original draft of the pharmaceutical legislation, there was a proposal to include manufacturing processes in the environmental risk assessment. But by the final version came out, it was gone. That deletion is not just a technical adjustment, it's a political decision. It reflects how industrial lobbying still prevails over public health and over environmental protection. If we want One Health to succeed, we cannot allow that kind of policy making by default to continue. We managed to include manufacturing in the environmental risk assessment in the position of the European Parliament in the end. Let's see what will be the fate of it in the negotiation now with the Council. Let's go deeper into 3 concrete areas where the One Health approach is not just useful, but really essential. First of all, environmental pollution and health. The PFAS example. PFAS, often called forever chemicals, are present in our drinking water, in our food, even in our blood. These substances accumulate over time, linked to cancer, reproductive disorders, and immune system dysfunction. Yet they continue to be manufactured and used largely unchecked. Why? Because chemical regulation, agricultural policy, health policy, and industrial strategy are managed by different departments with different logics. This is where One Health has to come in. We need joined-up assessment where environmental safety, human exposure, and long-term ecosystem risk are analyzed together. And crucially, we need the courage to act on that information. This includes then also banning harmful substances, investing in safer alternatives, and enforcing environmental protection. Public health cannot be an afterthought. Secondly, the global health preparedness. COVID-19 showed us how vulnerable we are when health systems are weak, supply chains fragile, and political trust low. It also gave us a chance to build something stronger, a legally binding and international framework to prevent the next pandemic. What was agreed quite recently in the Geneva at WHO is a breakthrough pandemic agreement. Unthinkable still a couple of months ago. If adopted now end of May, it will strengthen One Health's approach in pandemic preparedness. Unfortunately, I must also say some important elements, such as the tech transfer, are not ambitious enough in it. Important lesson is that preparedness must begin before the outbreak, in how we manage land, regulate livestock, surveil wildlife, and govern global health more equitably. One Health is the infrastructure of prevention. We have the technical knowledge. What we need is a political will to adopt this agreement and to improve it in the future. Third element I want to focus on, animal welfare and human health. Let's talk about the link between animal farming and human health. The science is unequivocal. Intensive industrial farming is a driver of zoonotic diseases. It creates stress-filled, overcrowded environments that are ideal for pathogens to mutate and to spread. It also pushes deforestation, reduces biodiversity, and fuels antimicrobial resistance to overuse of antibiotics. If we want to reduce the risk of future pandemics, we must rethink our food systems. That means supporting farmers who adopt sustainable practices, agroecology, regenerative farming, animal welfare standards. It also means aligning agriculture subsidies with public health goals. We recently heard during the EU structured dialogue on the future of agriculture farmers themselves calling for these changes. So let's listen to them. Let's make farming part of the solution, not the problem. Now, how to make this happen? First, we need to acknowledge a simple fact. Data alone does not move politics. People do. You can show a politician's graphs about cost saving, AMR projections, or global warming trajectory, and nothing changes. But to talk to them about asthma in their children, about water contamination in their communities, about voters who want clean air and healthy food, and suddenly the conversation shifts. That's why we need to connect One Health with values, not just with evidence, with trust, with equity, with things that matter in people's daily life. I strongly support the creation of a One Health screening tool, a concrete instrument to assess how proposed policies align or conflict with One Health's objective. Let's make it part of the legislative process. Let's make it impossible to ignore. To conclude, let me return to the big picture. So One Health is not a luxury concept. It is not a communication slogan. It is not only about pandemics or farms or climates. It is about how we govern complexity in a fragile world. If we are serious, I mean truly serious, about sustainability, resilience, and well-being, the One Health must become a political priority across the board. In health, yes, of course, but also in agriculture, in environment, in trade, in innovation, and also in foreign policy. Our European Health Commissioner must become a champion for this approach and must work hand in hand with other commissioners and also EU agency to translate words into action. And we, as legislators, experts, activists, and citizens must continue to push for this integration, to push for this coherence and courage. Because only when we stop thinking in silos and start acting in systems, we build a healthier, safer, and fairer Europe. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that excellent opening speech. As I said, now we have 5 to 10 minutes for you to decide if you are to go or stay. And given that the mainstay of my work is data protection, I did omit something slightly important. There will be a photographer taking pictures. If you do not want your picture on the website in the future, contact one of our colleagues. We will delete it, just to be clear. Thank you very much and enjoy your day.